Recently on his own podcast and at the Daily Herald where he wrote. Mike North is here tonight with some big news about his life and career. Mike, welcome back to Chicago tonight. Okay, you were at the Score for 17 years, starting in 1992. Since then, as I mentioned, CBS, Fox, and a podcast. Right. Now you have some big news for Chicago sports fans. What is it?
Well, the big news I have is I'm stepping away from sports radio and sports podcasting, sports columns completely, and I'm heading in another direction because I just think that timing's right. It's the 25th anniversary of the Score. Danny Lee, I hope he's watching. He's the guy that hired me when we started it. Me and a group of great guys, and I just think the timing's right. Terry Boers, a friend of mine, was on it. He's been ill. He's feeling better from what I understand, and I think there's just more to it. I don't care, for the most part, what Kyle Schwarber, if he bats second or fifth anymore. Back then I did, but I've moved on. And
why have you stopped caring?
You know, I care about the teams, and I've always cared about the management. But, you know, the nonsense that's coming up now, I mean, I'm hearing that the USC mascot is under siege because his name was the same as Robert E. Lee's. I mean, there's arguments going on in sports radio. We used to describe what happened with the field, on the field, and with the personalities. Now, it's stuff I never even dreamed we'd be discussing. It's more social now. And social media has been a great vehicle for me. I got like 340,000 followers, so I really can get all I want to get out in sports with Twitter. I really can.
Getting ready to talk to you tonight, I went back to a 1998 reader profile of you, and this is, you were quoted as saying, "You only have a short run in this business. I'm done at 50. I got 6 more years. I've done 6 years. I'll do 12 years in the business, and I'm going to do something else. I don't want to work until I drop dead like my father."
Right.
You did more than 12 years.
I did 25, and I brokered time at first. When the owner of WXRT came in my station, I read Robert Feeder, who I've known for 25 years, who said that they're going to start a cool jazz or country station, and I argued with him that day he should start sports. There's only like 15 to 20 sports stations at the time. Now it's grown up into a huge business, and I thought, you know, I would have a shorter life because of the way that I delivered my content, but after 25 years, I see that, you know, the original 6 of Dan McNeil, Terry Boers, Dan Jiggets, Tom Shear, Brian Hanley, and now me, we're basically gone from the Score, but that was the time to be doing sports radio big time.
And you're also shifting your residence of it because you're going to be doing what?
Well, now I'm going to be a pitch man. I'm going to be a spokesperson for a product called Lightkeeper Pro. Now, do you have broken Christmas lights? If they're broken, forget it. But if they blow out, you just take the light. I brought the crew, a whole group. Like, let's say your nose stopped lighting up. If you boom, boom, put it in the air, you'll light up again. It's a miracle. Don't throw your lights out, ladies and gentlemen. Lightkeeper Pro. Plus, I'm going to be doing, I've had people ask me for treatments on my life story and stuff. I attempted to write one myself with the help of somebody else, but I've been too busy. And my wife, BB, I didn't get into business till I was 40. And we've been working together since we were in our 20s, our early 20s, with hot dogs, dance, and everything else. So she's helped me as much as anybody, and Jeff Schwartz, a lot of people, everybody I ever made contact with, good, bad, or indifferent. The crew on Rush Street that I ran with, the best drinking crew of all time, guys like Fritzy, Jimmy, all the guys, they don't have crews like that anymore. I ran with the best, I handled the best, and I interviewed the best. It's been a wonderful career.
But you're also, in terms of the transition, you're also going to be living in Las Vegas part of the time.
I'm going to move part-time to Las Vegas, but I'm going to stay in the Chicago area because my mom's 87. And I told her, listen, it looks like you're going to live to be 100. My plans have been dashed. I'm not moving away for good. And I'm so happy about that. Plus, we have family here in Chicago. Things change. I always wanted to live in Vegas full-time, but I'm not leaving. Chicago's my home, good, bad, or indifferent.
Well, listen, you already gave us that commercial thing.
You're welcome. Is that a slogan?
I think it is. Well, let's go back 25 years in the hot dog stand.
Right.
Because you and your wife had 3 hot dog stands. Right. And give us a beat or two, not that you've ever talked about this before, on how you segued from being a hot dog guy to a sports guy.
Well, like I said, they came in, the people from the radio station used to come in.
Some of the bosses.
Right. But they said, I remember Norm Weiner, who was a program director at WXRT, came in and he said, Mike, he says, I said, listen, I want to do sports on your station on WXRT, athletes fees. He goes, nobody knows who the heck you are. Bob Verdi's on vacation. I go, Tom Pachore's coming, he says. I go, well, how do I get it? He goes, broker time. So I brokered time at $300. Bought the time for $300 an hour. Sold advertising for $50 making $100, made about $700-800 a week, cleared 300 out after the 300. Kids, I flunked seventh grade twice, Phil. I'm not that smart a guy. I didn't finish high school, but I got my GED.
I know you did. I did the Army and all that.
Yeah.
Listen, at one point you were described again by the reader as one part streets and sand worker, one part David Mamet character, one part half-drunk BSer sitting at the end of the bar, pontificating on the Bears. Is that accurate?
Well, not the drinking anymore. I quit.
Was it at the time?
Oh, yeah. 10, 11 years ago, I was. I mean, I got to be straight up about it. We drank, and we drank hard, and we had fun. But, you know, it did, you know, at times, it never got in the way of my job. But, you know, you'd get late nights. Did you do the best you could? I always thought I did. But, you know what? I was picking paper for the Park District in 1992. Literally picking paper. We had to go clean up after the Pope in the 80s. So the Pope came, Pope John Paul, remember, hey, how you doing? And then there was Pat.
Well, in fact, that's a quote. I'm sure the
that's
Pope
right,
said exactly that.
And we had to clean up afterwards. And in 1992, for the score, I hosted the Bulls championship 10 years later. And I've just been very fortunate. Without people, you couldn't get a job in radio today unless you have a high school education or something. But these guys believed in me. I went up against a bunch of different people. Steve Dawson, I don't believe, have a high school education. There's bad guys back then. And maybe there's guys now, but it's a little bit tougher now.
Okay, you've had a really good run.
Great run.
At its peak.
Yeah.
At its peak for that time period.
Yes.
What was it like?
Unbelievable. I went from making, you know, working 16 hours a day at the hot dog stand. We kept the hot dog stand for 1 year to make sure we were going to make it, to one of the biggest stars. I mean, we looked at the scrapbook the other day. There's a Robert Feeder count. I'm ranked ahead of Oprah for popularity back in the early 90s.
Were you making as much as Oprah?
No, but I did well. I did well as the years went on, Phil. But you know what? I mean, I'm up for anything. Is there a pledge drive coming up?
Listen.
You know, if Honda doesn't come in, Bonnie.
Or did you?
Well, for that time, it wasn't pretty. I mean, but now I think we've gotten even more ridiculous than that. I thought those were not. I didn't mean any disrespect to those people. I really did. But that was how they told me when I got hired, don't change. And if I would have changed, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. There's a lot of people that have crossed and been there. I had to be the different one. When I watch late night TV and I see 4 hosts and they all sound the same, good, you're all making your money. But you know what? You're not doing anything any different. I had 18,000 interviews in my career, and I held people accountable. And the fans and the listeners, I want to thank because they made us believe. And at the time, Danny Lee told me to pass this on. In 1992, they were kept selling the score for $12 a spot. XRT was going for 200. At the end of 92, we were equal with them after 1 year. And that was a 3-show station and the first really complete great sports station. Tom Shear and all those guys, and Boers and McNeil, Jiggets, Hanley. That was a crew of guys that competed against each other, and there were some bitter feelings at times because we felt like on top of the world and nobody could compete with us when it came. The ratings, sports radio ratings don't do well, but the money came in. That's the advertising, and that's what it's about.
Mike, I think any of us who have a little bit of visibility would like to be judged by the arc of our career, by everything we've done, good and bad. Are there any things that you did that you regret, that you wish, I wish I would have done that differently?
If you did, then you know what, you shouldn't have said it at the time, and you know what, I wasn't a guy that had a filter, and you know, that's a reason that's been a problem. Look, you pay for free speech, Phil. You know this as well as I do. You can say things, and you're going to have, you know, the glad enders. There's going to come a time where it's going to bite you, and it's bitten almost everybody in the business. And if you're not doing radio on terrestrial radio anymore, you're powerful, you're considered dangerous by management. Howard Stern should be on terrestrial radio, but you know what? He makes his money somewhere else. I did well. I was dared by a guy to do a podcast. I did 2. He says, you won't make any money off them. I made money because of sponsors like Vienna, Napleton, Gale Street Inn. I can name you 50 advertisers.
I think you're going to be a good. I think you're going to be a good.
Stuck with
Mike,
me.
how do you want your fans to remember you?
I wanted to remember me as a guy that kept trying, gave 100% no matter if the odds were this high or that high. I didn't think I was ready, prepared when I first got to success. No matter how old you are, when you go from, you know, making hot dogs to making $1 million, $1.5 million a year. 10 years later, it's an adjustment period, but it's been a great thing. My wife's been with me for 4 years. My mother's still alive. We have our health. Somebody asked me if I'm sick because I'm leaving. I go, I'm not leaving broadcasting, I'm leaving sports radio.
Mike North, thanks for coming on. Congratulations on a long run.
Phil. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
And